Oh, it's too close for comfort. OMG. Hello, hi, I'm Ashley. Welcome to my channel. For those of you that are going to be watching this after I end this live, but I thought I would on here and talk a little bit about what to expect from my channel. Essentially, what you're going to see as far as posting consistencies, the things that I'm battling with as far as with my PTSD and my disability. And I just wanted to kind of give like a little update, I guess. I don't know. But so first things first, I am 30 years old. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. And it's disabling. So what that means for me basically is things that would normally take little to no effort for some people takes a lot of effort for me. And once I do that, I have to have kind of like a recovery process afterwards. So I know that there's some of you that have gone through similar things and that kind of can understand. But I hope this is okay. I hope my internet isn't terrible. Yeah, maybe. Okay. No, it's terrible. Hold on a second. We're gonna go on a little road trip. Not to mention, I'm probably gonna delete this and redo it at some point. Alexa, lounge lights on. Alexa. The lounge. Oh, that little twerp. Okay. I should have done this ahead of time, but I did not. Give me 1 second.
The lounge isn't responding. Please make sure it's online. Press power, and any switch connected to it is turned on.
Okay, I'm back. Hopefully the Wi-Fi is a little bit better. Maybe not. So anyways, what I was saying is because of my disability, I can read all I want. For the most part, reading takes little to no effort for me. But as far as talking to a camera, editing the videos, uploading the videos, that's kind of hard for me. And sorry, do you mind? So I do have things that help me out as far as like medication goes. I take my medicine every day. I have a service dog who helps mitigate a lot of my disability, but like I said, I still have to recover. Rex, quit. So for example, I have been on kind of like a vacation for the past 2 weeks. I went and visited some family the week before, and then the week after that, I went to a little weekend getaway for just because. And because of that, I'm not going to be posting or filming any videos for today, and I have major guilt with that. I know I shouldn't. I know that's not something that I can exactly help, but as someone who is trying to be consistent with her channel and stuff regards to that, it just kind of sucks. But hopefully this will serve as a form of not necessarily a reminder, but a PSA to say that I'm still here. I'm trying to be active in the community. I'm doing my best. But if we're being realistic, I'm not the type that can sit there and film and pump out videos. That's just not a realistic thing for me. And for me to act like that is just going to make things worse. So I hate to say it, but there will be times where I will be inconsistent. I might miss an upload. I might be missing from social media because sometimes when it gets really bad, I take a lot of naps and try to recover and chill out as much as possible. So it's not something that, I don't know. I wish I didn't have to do that. I wish I could just do like everybody else, but I can't. Rex. But as far as reading goes, I left my phone in there. Let me double check and see if I can get my Goodreads. I think I've read about, no, there's no telling what I've read, like 6 books, maybe. Let's see. It kind of sucks that I don't have the community tab yet. I can't wait till I get the community tab so that way I can just hop on there and be like, hey, can't post a video. But considering I've done that for the past 2 weeks now, I feel like I owe you guys a little bit of a something. Okay. Let me sign in real quick. And I do plan on, my dog, stressing me out. Rex, hey, come here. I do plan on participating in live streams coming up, which that is essentially the kind of same thing as far as filming videos, except the difference between that and what I'm doing right now is I'm not having to really interact with anybody face to face. So, for example, this is solely what I have to worry about is thinking about the stuff that I want to say to you guys, and then saying it to you, and then you guys will comment via in the live chat or whatever. Quit. Okay, so how many books have I read? So this is going to be my May wrap up. I should have put that in the channel update, but I'm just going to go through this real quick. I do plan on still filming a May wrap up, but until I can get to that point, I'll just give you guys kind of like a little bit sneak peek of what I've been reading. Now, for the month of May, I've really been reading more horror than I usually do. Typically, the time frame for when I do read horror is mostly in the fall time or when it's getting closer to that time. Sometimes I'll start a little bit early. But I feel like I'm getting more to the point where I'm finding more books, horror books that I like and that are more of my style. And because beforehand, the horror genre was really intimidating to me. But another thing that I found is that I really like graphic novels. But one of the first books that I read for the month of May. Did I read that in May? Okay. Is Embers by Josephine Greenland. This was an e-arc from NetGalley. I gave it a 4 stars, I think. No, I didn't. I gave it a 3 stars. It was okay. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about this before on a couple of my vlogs. There's the word. Couldn't think of it. And this was kind of like something based off in Sweden, I believe, or maybe it was New Zealand. But essentially, these reindeer, they get slaughtered, and this brother and sister duo stumble upon it, and they are trying to figure out what's going on. Why is the reindeer dead? Because that's actually a hate crime to the indigenous, or against the indigenous people that live in that area, the Sami. And like I said, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was okay. I still haven't written a review on it yet because Rex, boy. So I'm gonna lose my mind. Just because I don't know, like it just I can't. I don't know. Like I don't know what else to say. Like I don't have very much to say about it, which that's not bad, but at the same time, like I don't think that's really a praise. So, okay, next one is I listened to the audiobook for My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, and I gave that one a 5 out of 5 stars. I was born in the 1990s, so the time frame that this actually takes part in, I was not born yet, but I had parents that were born in that, I hate saying era, but in the 1960s and 1970s. So I grew up with a lot of that culture, that pop culture. So seeing some of the things in here, if you don't know, this is based in the 1970s. So you have a lot of stuff happening in regards to hit songs. There's hit songs in there for references. There's also references for famous movies like E.T., and I just had a really good time listening to this. And not to mention the fact that the person who narrated it, I can't remember who it was, that's bad. But it had a really great narrator. Let's see who it is. Emily Wu Zeller, it looks like, was the narrator. So I have a couple of Grady Hendrix's other books, like the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. There we go. That's it. And I think that's it as far as any other books. I think they're coming out with another book, but it's the only one that I've read. Another book that I completed in May was A Girl Like Her by Talia Hibbert. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars because it's Talia Hibbert. Like, what else can you expect? I love Talia Hibbert. So this one was, I believe, published in between the times of her first novel, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and the second novel in that series, which is Take a Hint, Dani Brown. And I'm getting to the point to where, I don't know, I probably said this earlier, but the author's becoming an auto-buy for me almost instantaneously. The next book that I read was Confessions by Kane Minato. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. This was the Spooky Bitches book club book of the month. Can't English today. And I thought this was really interesting. This is probably one of my first ever my first ever translated works, which I'm fairly interested in continuing that because that's something that I feel like I tend to slack on. I typically will just reach for the most hyped up books at that time, and I don't take a look at where the books are from or the backgrounds of the authors, which you don't have to do, but that's something that I enjoy myself. Confessions is about basically this teacher. She's retiring, but before she retires, she has basically one last class with her homeroom, and two of the students in her homeroom murdered her daughter, and she's telling the story of how she figured everything out and how she's feeling and what she's going to do as far as when it comes to revenge. So it was pretty interesting, but it's like the first 50 pages, you get the gist of like the whole story. Like, for example, so when you're first reading through the beginning of the book, it's the teacher's point of view, and she's talking about like the facts, everything she knows, the research that she did, etc. Sorry, he's itching. And then throughout the rest of the story, it's basically the same story, but from a different person's perspective. So quite a bit of it were from other students, but also I believe, I can't remember if the dad's point of view was also in there. I don't think so, but you get multiple points of view. Then I took a look at this graphic novel. I've had it on my TBR for a good while, and that is Something is Killing the Children, Volume 1, and that is by James Tynion IV. Can't believe I got that right. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. It really reminded me a bunch of The Walking Dead as far as like the storyline goes, but it's mostly focused on not just zombies, but all kinds of monsters in folklore. So it was okay. I enjoyed it. The artwork was really pretty, and it felt more of like a comic vibe than a graphic novel vibe, which I have no problem with. Then I read my first Sylvia Moreno Garcia novel. I've had Gods of Jade and Shadow for a couple of weeks, and I finally decided, look, this is what I want. I want to pick something up. I've been to Mexico a couple of times, and I've learned about Mayan ancestry, and I've really taken just a liking to history and religions and different kinds of cultures. So with Gods of Jade and Shadow, you have this girl who I'm trying not to spoil it, but she was basically an outcast. Her mother, who comes from a rich family, married and had a kid with this man who is of Mayan descent, and her family, they did not approve of it. They thought that he was scum, and there was a lot of backlash and hate, and I guess almost you could kind of say racism and prejudice against her father. And so then when our main character comes into play, she's kind of disregarded as this maid. She works for everybody in the house, and that's basically how she makes her, not living because she doesn't get paid, but that's how she, what's the word I'm looking for? Earns her keep. There we go. So she's provided with food, although not all the time, and she's provided with shelter, which she shares with her mother, who is also kind of deemed now as the outcast once they came back through. But anyways, regardless, the main character finds a mysterious box in her grandfather's bedroom, and she opens it, and she gets, it's not really possession, but a piece of, there was a god and his bones essentially in this box, and she got a piece of the bone stuck in her finger, so it was like a bone shard or a splinter, and that basically made it to a point to where she has to help him find out how to become whole again by finding the things that his brother had hidden, like for example his ears chopped off, his eyes missing, he's got a finger missing and everything. So it's just kind of like a little adventure as far as with that, and learning a little bit about the god of death and the different gods in Mayan culture. So chef's kiss, it was amazing. Did I say I gave this 5 stars? I gave this 5 stars. If you couldn't tell by my continuous ranting and raving. And then on the way back from one of my vacations, I listened to Barracoon, the story of the last black cargo, and that was by Zora Neale Hurston. And I don't really rate these off of the basis of how good the book is, just because this is a nonfiction. It's about somebody's life. This is not like a fictional story where I'm like, oh my gosh, the plot twist, like the characters. No, these are real people. So I pretty much based it off of facts and of the difference between how much I knew before going into the book and the difference between how much I knew after, if that makes sense. So basically what I learned. Hey, Steve. How's it going? So I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, which I'm still trying to debate. Like, do you rate nonfiction books? Like, do you guys rate nonfiction books? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a gray area, but. Okay, let's see. I think that's it as far as. Oop, you know what? I didn't finish Barracoon until like in June 1st, but it's okay. We're going to count it. It's fine. See, I think so too, because there's some things that I feel like I have somewhat of an experience. For example, if I were to read anybody who was talking about PTSD and their experiences, I feel like I'd be able to rate that. But when it comes to something like, for example, the Zora Neale Hurston books, like I'm not really the target audience. Like I don't think I'm the target audience, but I still enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I think that's what matters, is the fact that I took something from it. So but anywho, I just wanted to come on here real quick. Hopefully the video quality is okay because my computer's being strange. But I wanted to talk a little bit about just the realistic goals that I have for this channel, because I feel like my goals obviously are going to be way different from other people's, but what people tend to expect is consistent content, and that's just not really something I can provide. But I thank you guys for being here, and I don't really have anything else to say. This is the video for the week because I didn't post for the last 2 weeks. Anyway, all right, well, I'm gonna go take a nap. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Yes, you bet I'm going to have a good nap. I'm not really one that takes naps, but I really need it, especially before going to pick up my daughter and doing all that parent stuff. Like, I got to get ready. So, but thanks for coming, Steve. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.